The Auditor-General has criticized government's slow pace in response to the floods that hit parts of the country this year. A report by Tsakani Maluleke has revealed how government institutions were unable to efficiently and quickly roll out key initiatives after these disasters. Our business reporter Kopano Gumbi has more.
South Africans were concerned that the funds allocated for disaster relief following the devastating floods in April would be misused. But the latest findings from the Auditor-General's office show that for the most part, that hasn't been the case.
There are some good practices that need to be built on going forward. I've talked about the establishment of the oversight committees at different levels of government. I'm also wanting to highlight that the National Treasury also provided early guidance on the availability of funds, the reporting requirements, the processes for getting the reprioritization of budgets happening at different parts of government. That's something that can be built on going forward as well. And I've talked about the activities of the KZN Provincial Treasury, which really had the impact of reducing the instances of procurement findings and procurement irregularities in the province in the context of this flood disaster. We've also been quite impressed with the social relief processes, where that sector heeded many of the findings we had in the context of the COVID-19 audits. And as a consequence, when we audited now, because they've implemented the key controls that were necessary, we did not find too many invalid payments.
Of greater concern for the office is the slow rate of implementation of government-led initiatives.
Our conclusion is that government's ability to respond to the disaster was not adequate. Right from the journey of assessing the needs, assessing the impact, planning the responses, and then executing on those plans.
There were some areas where government performed very poorly, especially in rebuilding school and housing infrastructure and in managing government-owned properties.
There were 48 projects that were undertaken to repair properties that had been damaged by the flood disaster in KZN. We then selected 20 of these projects for auditing. This is the area where we found the most concerning procurement irregularities. And these had the direct impact of delaying the delivery on these projects. The process of procuring highlighted some key red flags around conflict management, where some of the appointed contractors really had conflicts in terms of being either employees or spouses to employees of the state. We also found that as part of the supply chain management processes, there were instances where you would have one director own 3 companies and still be awarded a contract separately. So 3 awards to each of these companies, but owned by one director. But because the procurement management controls were not in place, that was not picked up and that was not attended to in the way that it should have. We also found that there were instances where quotations for work were received after the work had started.
The real-time audit will continue as the funds are dispersed throughout the year. For Newzroom Afrika on Channel 405, I am Kopano Gumbi in Pretoria.